To another great episode of Comedians in Bed. And as always, I like to give an introduction for our next guest. Now, when you hear him tell jokes, you may think of E40. Like the way E40 raps is the way this guy talks. I love it. I like it. It feel like you're talking to a big uncle, even though we're not far apart in age. This guy comes from Cali, man. He does his thing. He's so mysterious, but he's so freaking funny. And we had to have him on the podcast, especially with a beautiful name like this. Everybody, please give it up for our next guest, Anyi Malik. Everybody.
What's crack-a-lacking is Anyi Malik. I'm so tired of y'all comparing me to E40 and shit. But it's my own fault, man. I've been listening to that brother since I was like 9-10 years old. I done bought in a major way. Man, on every medium it could be purchased on. Cassette tape, CD. I done bought it on iTunes. I streamed it on iMusic. I ripped it on Napster. I was getting every iteration of music. I done found a way to purchase that in a major way album. So
Yeah,
I guess
man.
I did this to myself.
Yeah, when I was hearing you tell jokes, I was like, man, this guy sound like E40, man. It's crazy. But it's funny because it's like that's how he would talk, like if he talked his raps out, like kind of sort of.
And I do get not accused, but I get characterized as a motherfucker who make up their own language. I got shit only I'll say, like lamb chopping. Don't nobody say lamb chopping.
What does lamb chopping mean?
Lamb chopping, that's when a woman look at you with the tantalization. Like the cartoons when they had the lamb chops in the eyes, when Wile E. Coyote see the road runner, he look. Yeah. That's how. Yeah, that's lamb chopping. That's also the title of my first album, my first comedy album, Lamb Chopping, dropped in 2012, December 2012. 10-year-old baby.
Has that word picked up? Has anybody else used it, or is it just?
I don't do shit for the. I don't know. I don't know. I might. That people will say my shit to me a lot. I don't know what they do in other circles, but I don't really generate for the purpose of getting picked up and heavily. I guess that's a part of my mystery. I'm mysterious. I ain't never heard that one. I was like, man, I'm not gonna argue with it either, because if you to argue with that, I gotta start telling my business. And it's like, no, I'm not mysterious. I'll tell you what I was doing. Nah, I'm an open book. I'm not.
I just feel like you're so dynamic with like the comic books that you're into. Like, I don't know. I would take that you're into anime. I'm not for sure. It's just like, I guess like you don't judge a book by its cover. You just look like you. I guess people will assume you're like in a hardcore rap or whatever, but like you seem so like total opposite. But at the same time, you do. Like
I'm not deep into no direction. I'm not like, as soon as I learned this is kind of part of my growing up, as soon as you find a crowd, I pretty much don't belong. It's like, they like, oh, this dude's a nerd. I'm gonna say, let me go over here with the nerds. Oh, this dude's a little aggressive. Let me go with the aggressive. No, this dude's a poet. Let me go with the poets. This dude. So I think balance is where I'm at with it. Yeah, I have an appreciation for anime, but yeah, as soon as I get into the anime circles, they start naming the creators and the writers and the manga. I'll be like, man, look, bro, I just I just like to kick on back and I just like to kick on back and watch some shit, But then when it's like, I put on Full Metal Alchemist, they're like, oh, okay, oh, you fuck with that. So yes, I think I'm not really completely into no direction, just even comedy. It's like I'm not a comedy nerd. I didn't study I don't watch every comedy special, and I don't go into the history and just as soon as I entered into this, I knew that I was just gonna just develop my own pattern, and anything that I picked up, it picked me up more than I picked it up. You know, it resonated with me more than I was looking for something to be resonating with.
In what ways did comedy pick you up?
Well, I mean, I meant like techniques and shit like that. Like I don't go, you know, I wouldn't go check out a comedian to see what they did to be successful or effective in comedy. I would just happen to see that, and it's like, I noticed that, like a callback. I never was like, what is this technique or a misdirect? You know what I mean? It was like, oh, that's what that is when you switch their head up and they think you going in one. Oh, that's called a misdirect. Let me do some more of that. It ain't like, you know, I was watching a certain comic. I was like, he's really good with the misdirection. Let me watch him and study this technique with these callbacks. None of that. But yeah, that's like techniques resonate with me. But yeah, comedy did kind of pick me up in a sense that, like, I've always been humorous and I've always, you know, been like a sly joke cracking jokes. You know what I'm saying? I'll get my little digs in. But it wasn't until I said some funny shit in a car of people, and the whole car was laughing, and then the driver hit another car, and that's when I had the epiphany that maybe I should hone that in and try to sharpen, or just try to, you know, get creative with the comedy. I should perform stand-up comedy.
Yeah,
it didn't happen right as he had the collision. It was while they was exchanging insurance information, and because I'm the passenger, I'm like, man, when we gonna wrap this? Come on, man. So I'm like, damn, I should have never said nothing. See, if I wasn't so funny, man, I'll be on my way right now. Man, I should do comedy because the mechanic finna make $500 off this. And
so what year was this? What year you started comedy?
I think this shit was 2005 when I was a much younger. I was 21.
Okay.
You can do the math. You can get your maths on. Actually, no, it was 2004 it happened, and then I didn't do it until 2005.
Oh, okay.
But I was still 21, so yeah.
What makes you still want to keep going? Like, you've been in it for a while. What makes you still want to keep going?
I mean, I just have projects and bits and jokes and albums and shit in my mind and in my heart that I just kind of just have to get out. And so it's not, you know, so there's that aspect. And then it's kind of compulsion at this point, you know, like if I'm in another city and I'm bored in my hotel room, I'm gonna go try to find an open mic rather than just go find a regular ass bar, you know, because then I could at least work on something. But, you know, I'll even go back further, though. It was my pops, man. My father, he's a poet and a playwright, and him and my mom been divorced. And so on his custody weekends, we wouldn't be at his house. We'd be at my grandmother's house. And he would go off and do his night shit. But every once in a while, he would take me with him and ask if I wanted to read some poetry. And so I would have poetry, you know, reading poems in the cafe, 10 years old. And so that was my introduction to just public speaking and performance art, you know, just straight out my mind, in my mind and out my mouth. And so I think at this, you know, so I still have that that inclination to get in front of a bunch of people and express. But comedically is at this point, you know, I'm like, you know, I started in 2005. We almost 20 years. That's damn near 18 years ago. You feel me? So you know, at this point, I like built. It's a habit, or I really don't know what else to do. It's just there's nothing much that I'm interested in doing. You know, it's not too much that excites me. The club shit, you know, even if I was dope at DJing and all of that shit, I would still be like, man, these other people music. Or I would, I at some point around the end of the pandemic, I had honed some little DJ skills because I used to do radio, and I used to, I know how to blend records, but all that scratching and everything else was kind of elusive to me. And so in the pandemic, I was, trying shit out and kind of got comfortable enough to throw my auxiliary in around a bunch of people and got in the mix.
Yeah.
But it was at a comedy club, and it was just like, still, I was just like, man, these other people record, man, can I go on stage, man, can I get it? So it's still like, I think that's just the more interesting environment for me, cats talking shit, man, being hilarious,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being with your dad and seeing all of that, like seeing all the creativity go like in front of your eyes. How did like going with your dad and just being in a creative space as a young kid, how did that like influence your upbringing?
Man, well, it wasn't like something that was so readily available, because their custody agreement was one. Nah, on some real shit, man. Their custody agreement was one that didn't really lend itself to a whole lot of father-son time. And even then, the time that we did have, even the poetry wasn't readily available. It was like once in a blue moon. So it was so few and far between that it wasn't like something I could take for granted. It was just something that, if I'm lucky, he can invite, I might get to go out and read these poems tonight, or read this one I've been working on tonight. And it kind of feels the same way, like to just have something that you want to say somehow and express in a deep, profound kind of manner that just a regular conversation or a regular forum is not going to support. It might be too deep for the circle of brothers or sisters or mix, circle of folks that you in. It might be too deep for the work discussion. It might be, ain't nobody trying to hear your deepest ruminations and your, how you interpret the world around us, And so I don't know, but having that as a foundation, it kind of allowed me to own my speech a little bit more deliberately.
When you're being creative and you're trying to figure out like which avenue to go in, how do you choose that? Because you have so many ones to pick from. You do rap, I think you rap, you do poetry, you do comedy. So how do you choose like which one to pick the lane for the creative mode that you're feeling that given day?
That's, man. So I kind of have a little evolution. Like, it started with poetry, then eventually I was rapping. But at some point I was a journalist. I was producing content for public media outlets like KQED, NPR. I've been on NPR over a dozen times, won some awards. And so and then it led to, then that event happened when I was 21. And so then I was trying to balance all of that. I'm just like this poet, rapper, journalist, comedian, but comedy seemed like the most liberating, because there's no real censorship. The only censor is the designed result, the desired result to make people laugh. And is it designed to make, is the humor embedded in there? If not, then and then, so once I decided to just focus strictly on comedy, within that, I was made aware of a whole wide range of comedy styles that exist beyond just stand-up. There's scripts, there's scripting, the shit that we watch television, some shit ain't meant to be told on stage. It's more visual, so you gotta write it out instead of standing on stage. And then he said, and then he said, and then they said, and then I said, and you can type all that out, man. Put that in the script, man. Let them act that out. There's improv, there's sketch, And so I was introduced to that all. It was kind of just like an evolutionary process up until this point. And so, yeah, man, it was just, you know, that kind of that evolution kind of informed where I'm at today. And then having experienced all of that, you know, one particular idea can live in a bunch of different spaces. You know, some shit's not funny out loud, haha, but if you put it in a script and depict it, you know, you might not even need words for it. You know, Mr. Bean was crazy. Watching Mr. Bean was crazy. He didn't make a sound. He might be like, but that was it. You know, but the situation, the scenario itself was just like, oh man, he cannot stand up without falling down again, you know?
Yeah.
And so just, I think I have the ability with the ideas that I allow them to find their own forum, and I can try it in a bunch of different ways. But it just naturally is going to gravitate towards the proper outlet at this point.
Yeah. I never thought about this before, but like, one thing that happens is just like you, I used to write poetry, write songs, worked for news. And then like when I tend to look up people who's already made it to see like what was their path. And like when I look up like Regina Hall or something like that, like they usually like she did journalism, stuff like that. Like, why do you think we pick these different outlets until is it just like we just knocking on the door to see which one fits us? Because it kind of seems like we all do the same thing until we like, okay, this is my avenue.
Well, you know, I can't really speak for other people. My journey with creative expression and performative expression, it's just the desire to be heard. You know, my shit is like, I think a lot of points in my life, I've experienced a lot of misunderstanding or a lot of suppression or a lot of false narratives. And so, you know, the desire and the need really to have my voice on the record has just kind of been the guiding factor to all of that. And so that might be why a lot of Black folks, you know, take to a lot of these professions and paths, is because, you know, our stories is only really told among us. Our expressions is only really shared among us. And then a lot of times they not even shared. By the time you get it out, you know, it might be another brother. Sometimes it be your own people telling you that, oh, that's what them other people, or that's what that's what that people do, or this what this people do, or this not what you're supposed to do. And then when you go over there, they like, this not what we do. So it's like, really, everybody's got more projections onto you than you're actually projecting. And so to get behind that, just to get behind that side of the light, to be the one, you know, sending as opposed to all this receiving. You know, we digest so much media. I mean, somebody gonna be watching this right now, you know, but we on this side of it.
Yeah.
And that's important, especially for, you know, a brother like myself who has been on the opposite end of that, like for the majority of my life, or until I found comedy, or, you know. And even within these capacities, there's limitations. And so you want to find the most unrestricted means to express yourself. I thought it was rap, you know, but sometimes if you can't find the word to rhyme with what you're trying to say, it don't really make no sense to say it. And if it's not dope, it don't matter if it don't rhyme. So man, you have to put that idea somewhere else, you know. And then, you know, journalism, it's got a formula. It's got a formula and a format. And so I was in public media doing commentaries and features where, okay, the formula or the format was not the same as commercial media, which is why I took to it, because I could talk about real shit that like affected me, like, you know, racial profiling, police brutality, and shit that affected me in a real way. But even then, in the public media space, there's limitations on what they will air, You know, NPR not gonna air well, at the time that I was doing it, they wasn't gonna allow. There was sometimes I would produce content for NPR in response to a national story of something happening, and for either time or content, certain sentences and lines had to be cut. And that used to crush my soul because, you know, I've aired over a dozen times, but, you know, more than half of the times I went out on the air, by the time it got to the airwaves, I didn't even fuck with me. You know, I was like, bruh, this should, without me saying what I meant to say, with y'all took that one line out, you know, and then by the time it got there, I would just be so tired of the back and forth process. I'd just be like, man, just run it. Just run it. Get your little thing in. And then even then, you know, they got their, you know, like the commercial media, they cater to their advertising dollars. But the public media, they cater to their donation base. And so if you saying something that's going, you know, that's going to rub the liberals or the donators in a direction that they don't want to hear, that they can't digest what this real perspective is talking about, then even then that has to get cut. That got to get cut. And that was another eye-opening thing. It's like, okay, well, I rather comedy, you know, because then at least I can talk the shit that I want to talk. And as long as it's funny, as long as I make it funny, then, you know, then it'll be accepted. Now, come to find out, you know, that's not exactly true. You know, certain forums now, especially now, they don't want you to joke like that. And it's like, but you know, at least still, I could still release a project and still get it in on stages that I could design the forum in that. And then through that, maybe I learned that I could have designed the forum the whole time. I could have been, you know, at every step of this journey, I could have been the one that said, okay, well, I'm gonna bust it open over here. And, you know, there, y'all didn't like how that ran. If you like that version that ran on NPR, hear the raw version on my website. But I wasn't thinking like that back then.
Yeah. When you let's say you get to the level that you aspire to get to, do you plan on, you know, using these different form of avenues to express yourself, since you'll be more in your control?
Say it again.
So when you get to the level that you aspire to be at, will you go back to expressing yourself on these different creative mediums that you have, like poetry, rap, news, all that type of stuff?
Well, I think I never abandoned them. You know, I never abandoned them. I still write poetry. I still write shit. Some of my comedy albums lately and my EPs lately, they all have some music in it. And so I never abandoned my abilities. I had abilities. You know, I won awards in journalism. You know, Edward R. Murrow in 2005, New York festivals in 2007. So I had these abilities I never got rid of them. They never left. It's just I just switched up focus. But I still write. And even in the levels that I aspire to, I learned that you know, that's kind of a figment of your imagination to be, because in a lot of ways, when I look back at myself looking forward, I achieved a lot of those levels. You know, it's like walking down the street and you see somewhere that you want to go eat at. And once you get over there, you know, it's down the road. It may look far, but once you get over there, you like, okay, I'm here. I ate, but damn, you know, what next? Or where am I going? Where am I going to go now? Or you eating the food and it ain't what you thought it was going to be. But when you was looking back there, you was just hungry.
Right.
And you was just looking for somewhere to go get some food.
Have you ever wrote a girl? Have you ever wrote like a girl that you were dating? Have you ever wrote her a poem?
No, I've written poems about women that I was various stages of attraction in, with and without. But I never really shared the poetry with the women. I never used it as a means to achieve the romantic shit.
Why
Yeah,
not?
I wasn't. I don't know. That kind of energy kind of seemed kind of cheap to me. Like a lot of people enter into shit for these pursuits. Like a lot of folks. Some people get into poetry just because of women. They watch Love Jones and they looked at how the sisters looked at the brother, and they want to be in that space because they want to court that attention. But that's like, I think deep down that was like dubious to me, to where it's like, if you got to do that for that, you don't need to do that for that. You can get women at your job. Not to say that you getting them at the job, but I'm saying any position that you in life, somebody gonna look at you and be like, who's that brother over there? But to do things for the intent of attracting women is not really holy. It's kind of unholy to me. It always seemed unethical creatively for this to be the means to that end.
Yeah.
Especially, growing, that's like a coming of age thing. The more you learn and the more you grow, the more you know that you don't need to do that to achieve that. You don't need to be a poet. You don't need to be nothing other than yourself to achieve.
And rich.
That's the other thing too, though. But you don't get wealth. You get wealth for that, then I mean, and then even then, you'll do studies on yourself. When you have money and when you ain't got money, the women that you with when you got money versus the women that you with when you ain't got money, I think the quality is different. The ones that's there when you down and out, them is the real solid ones. And then when you up, or maybe you're more solid when you can't just take shit for you can't just buy whatever, or you got to be a little bit more creative, and you just write things off. And so any pursuit, anything that's for the pursuit of the women aspect of the romance of the male female attraction, to kind of stir that up. I've never been a for the ladies ass nigga, basically. You'll never hear me say for the ladies, right? Anytime I'm around some brothers, bruh, the 40, I had to do that for the lady, because like fellas might create a whole life and a whole identity just for the result to getting women, and then it's like you're not gonna meet a woman trying to be attractive to the women, you know what I'm saying, or the ladies. If you for the ladies, you're not gonna attract your ladies. You just gonna follow what you think is what they chasing. And then really, you just looking at maybe who you like and seeing what they like, and then trying to catch them on that regard. When in reality, if you just stick to your own center of yourself, that woman you was looking at, you'll probably find her younger doppelganger. You know what I'm saying? With more in a better place in life, and she all about you. Just because you all about you, or you was focused. At least you know more about yourself than what the ladies like. You know what I'm saying? Because and then they shit fickle as fuck. Anyways, man, don't get me started on that, bro. They so inconsistent. That's why they yearn consistency. That's why they seek the consistency that they lack. The ones that speak on it, you know what I'm saying?
The love doctor Anyi over here.
Stop. If I'm a doctor of love, all I'm gonna do is teach you how to love yourself. You know what I'm saying? Excite your own interest in you, and then from there, bruh, ain't no really limits to where you can go with a lot of shit. And then you can see through a lot of bullshit either. And you see what's for you and what's against you. Because you for you.
That's the ultimate love that people should strive for, a love for themselves. Like, you can see a lot more things clearly when you start to love yourself. At least that's been my experience.
Yeah, man. Love of self, knowledge of self, all of that. And then I sound like real slick and smooth when I say it, but I be falling short. Sometimes I be forgetting about myself. Sometimes, I be like, do they got me fucked up, or do I got me fucked up? It's like,
That's the thing about it. Like I'm a real quiet guy, and I think a lot of people take that for granted, but they don't be knowing I can snap, but I just don't choose to, you know.
Right. Cause then yeah, you know, a lot of times we be in dynamics. It's a dynamic. As soon as you snap, that's you and that person in a dynamic. You know what I'm saying? Well, however, y'all got a relationship, y'all got a rapport, essentially. No matter what the nature of it is, y'all got y'all, for lack of a better word, entangled. You know what I'm saying? And that's a physics term, the entanglements. You know what I'm saying? August, Jada and August and took that to another level, but you know what Jay-Z said in the takeover, you know, you don't argue with fools because people from a distance can't tell who's who. It just looked like that. And I've been in a bunch of them. I've been in a bunch of them kind of dynamics to where this motherfucker fucking with me, or this fool got me fucked up. And then somebody else see that, all they see is, we saw y'all. They don't see the nuance of it. We see y'all. And it's just like, you know, and like I said, I still struggle. I still experience that to this day, you know.
Yeah. We're all human, living a human experience for sure. Let's pivot here. Now you're making big waves, uh, getting your comedy out there. How did you come up with the title Mr. Sir that is now streaming on your YouTube channel?
Mr. Sir. I think it's in that Mr. Sir. It was it's like one of them things that, you know, I was brought up that you address older people, your elders, as a certain type of way, or at least adults, you know. Like when we was a certain age, you couldn't just call motherfuckers by their first name. It's, you know. And so as we advance through life, I feel like I hit a checkpoint to where I'm like, you know, if you younger than me, you gotta hit me with, even if you older than me, you gotta, you know, you can't really, you gotta, I dictate the terms of the address. Otherwise, I'm not really addressing it. I'm not fucking with it. If you're not mistering me or sirring me, it's, you know, then I don't really got too much. I ain't got too much space for it. And this is kind of like in the you know, in the advancement of pronouns and shit like that. So I feel like a brother of a certain age, especially aging past a certain age, is not granted to us. So that's a projection that we not guaranteed these big 30s and early 40s and all of that. And so, you know, let alone 50s and 60s. And so when I hit that checkpoint, it's like it's kind of like a monument to even be able to play with the idea of how you address me, how I'm to be addressed. You know, you don't really get that consideration in your youth. And really at every stage in life, there's somebody there to tell you that you're still young. And youth is, you know, youth is celebrated because we as a society enjoy manipulation, and it's easier to manipulate based on the youth than anything. And so, but after a certain checkpoint, I feel like that's null and void, because I'm no longer young. You know, I'm young to an old motherfucker, and I'm old to a young motherfucker, right? So where I am at on that scale is subjective, but definitely in the eyes of, you know, I've been an adult for an adult period of time. You know, you could set a whole adult on top of my adulthood, you know, and then that you know, yeah. So I didn't live 2 adult lives, you know. So that speaks something. So that's where Mr. Sir kind of came from, and I just kind of think it was just a cool ass title. In it, I talk about, you know, I mentioned Mr. Sir, so I had to throw it back to that. It just felt like a cooler title. There's also, you know, a little conversation with women who don't want to be called ma'am, who don't like the ma'am terminology, even though, you know, it's a term of respect, you know, that we bestow on the women. They don't want to be elders. They want to reject they want to reject the aging process, which, you know, a lot of that is tied into the manipulation and advantage that men are attracted to. So they still want to be in alignment with that attraction, and they want to ride that manipulation wave of it when really it's just like, man, you an adult. We come on, we grown. I'm not gonna miss, you don't miss, you a little miss. Come on, you older, come on. We at the same age, you older than me. Come on, man. I'm respectful. I have a specific anecdote for that, but I won't spoil it on this program. Just check it out, Mr. Sir, on AnyiMalik.com.
How did you come up with the title for the new special? This is your first hour, or if not your first hour, but looks like it's doing some good things out there in Austin. How did you come up with that title? As it's about to premiere? By the time this show drop, it will be premiering. So how did you come up with that title?
Well, I shot the special. I shot the special. We shot it at Sal's Comedy Hall on Melrose in Hollywood. Sal's Comedy Hall, which is no longer operating. Sal sold his business. Congratulations. He made it out the rat race, made it out the maze. But I shot 2 shows there, and the second show, I didn't have a title for it, but the special itself pulled from a little piece of material from everything that I had ever released. So I said Lamb Chopping came out in 2012. Between then and now, I done released several projects, maybe about a dozen projects, maybe. And so I didn't have a title, but it was after the rap. It was when we rapped and then we went somewhere. It was a little running joke that I won't spoil it. But it was kind of poetic how me and a couple of the crew fellas that was working on the project, we was in the back smoking and drinking. And it kind of just came out. We just, somebody said grand blessings. And it kind of just stuck. So I say blessings a lot. Because I've been trying to clean up my speech a little bit. Or sometimes more, I have more to say than what wants to get out, and I just say blessings. And like for quite some time, like at least maybe 10 years, I've been signing off emails with blessings. That's like, thank you. I will talk later. Blessings, Anyi, Malik. And so that's been a part of my speech. And there's other people that say like, I don't own the word blessings. I didn't steal it from nobody, but it's just one of them things that like, especially as we advance as brothers and sisters advance in age, they start praying more. I don't know if you noticed this. We start like my mama, she got some shit where she'll just say, when shit is getting too much, where she used to just say fuck you niggas or fuck these motherfuckers or da-da-da-da, she'll just say Lord today. And she just give it up to the Most High. And I think I definitely hit that checkpoint where I'm at, where I just kind of just at least appreciate, acknowledge even the blessings of a less than favorable situation. If you can't find the blessing, I'm gonna say the blessing, and then then there will be grace. But so yeah, that's how that came to be. That's how blessings came into my lexicon, and then how it came into this special was no different. And then I do mention my grandmother. So there's like a couple of notes that grand blessings itself hits, and there's another note that goes in there that I won't give up. I don't want to, I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spoil the special, but yeah. So grand blessings. It's, and this is my debut, my legit debut. And so, yeah, it was just no better title.
How does it feel to be recognized by the Austin Revolution Film Festival after putting in so much work for all these years?
Man, I'm still trying to catch the feeling, man. I ain't really articulated, I haven't really been able to articulate what it feels like, because it's not even just the selection. We nominated, and I don't know by the time whether this airs or not what awards we'll win, or if we'll, if we don't win none of them, or if we win them all, just being nominated, it validates. It's just a heavy validation that I didn't even know. I wasn't looking for validation. For me, the validation is in the completion of the work. The fact that it was finished was validating enough that it's done. That's why I always put my shit down first and just say, well, I'll just rather just create the shit. And then, that's the accomplishment, is that I did it. It was done. And, if you didn't do it, you won't relate. You can't do it. You didn't do it. You can't really relate. And so even then, like producing my albums, I to a lot of people that I know or that know of me, I reignited the awareness of a comedy album to a lot of people, not the masses, but, before I decided to do that, I'm from Oakland, California, where it's a heavy independent spirit in the Bay, E40, the aforementioned E40, Too Short, Mac Dre, just countless artists have been supported through selling their own merch and their own music or their own content direct to consumer. And so when I put my first project out, it was about having something that people that fuck with me didn't have to wait on somebody else to recognize me for them to hold the piece. And I could go direct to consumer, it's possible. And so just that is the accomplishment within itself. And so the fact that, like, I was going to release this, we was going to release it on YouTube before the end of 2022. It was shot in February 2022. We did a round of pitches to distributors. Nobody was fucking with it. The only people that was fucking with it, they wanted the crazy percentages, and they wanted them. And it was nuts. So I was just going to drop it on YouTube. And then we got the call we got the email that we've been selected for the film festival. And, that right there is just like, oh shit, this is actually going to premiere somewhere. So now I got to sit on it. I got to kind of put a lid on my own excitement. Even I can't even really announce it yet. I got to wait a few weeks to even talk about it. And then even then I had, to get nominated for awards. We nominated, or you say this is going to air after the 10th. We were nominated for Best TV Series, Best Actor, me, and Best Director, Darian Sills Evans. So we got 3 nominations. And so that's just a tremendous validation to the work that they don't see put in. They don't know that, this special was cherry picked from everything I've ever released. They don't know that. But when the finished product was given, not only is it placement worthy, it might be award worthy. And so that's just, I haven't been able to grasp the feeling of that validation. Because I mean, the validation has always been internal, and I've always been kind of well, we don't need to be validated. We don't need to be validated by, I don't really, if you fuck with it or not. But when it actually happens, they're like, oh, they love me. So it's still difficult to describe, for sure.
What was I about to say? Okay. So I didn't even know that it was possible to submit like your comedy special into a film festival. So how did you get that process, and what was the process of submitting it beyond like just submitting it like through the submission tape or whatever?
Fam, I gotta give props and praise. I gotta give props and praise to my collaborator, the filmmaker, Darian Sills Evans. I wasn't even up on that either, man. I was not aware. So even then, the possibility, he mentioned that we would submit to a couple film festivals, and I just kind of just went in one ear, and because even when he said it, he was like, I was like, do they even fuck with comedy? It's like, all right, anyways. But we did have but the way I conceived this special, there's a cinematic opening and closing that kind of tied everything together, in that, yeah, it's a stand-up special, but it could also be somewhat of a short type of thing. And so, you know, I'm not familiar with or versed in the film festival submission process whatsoever. I did appear in Sundance 2020 before the pandemic. I was in a TV pilot that was presented as a short film, but even that I didn't. I was just a co-star. You know, I wasn't one of the producers. I didn't submit. Even when the thing ran, when it got picked up by Sundance, I had to pay my own ticket, and I had to pay my own ticket out there, and had no access to any of the events. I had to ask production. They was surprised to see me. They was like, "Oh, what you doing here?" I was like, "I heard we going to Sundance." They like, "We going to Sundance." I was like, "Well, we here, man. What's up? You got some extra passes for a player?" You know, and so I'm like, you know, so even be that makes it even a little bit more breathtaking to me as someone who didn't submit. I wasn't the submitter, you know, I wasn't the one to submit, but something bigger than me is calling me into them spaces, and I just gotta just appreciate that. I just, you know, just give it up to that. But so I have no idea how to, but I think it's pretty straightforward of a process if you look at their websites, because I was looking into submitting to some more places, and I started, you know, once I had this awareness that what is possible, now that's just like, you can't erase that possibility. So I'm like looking at other little things that I have, and seeing how to get them in other places. And I look on the websites, they're pretty straightforward processes.
Yeah. Film Freeway. If you guys want, I use that often a lot too. Who's on your Mount Rushmore of comedy?
My Mount Rushmore of comedy, Dick Gregory, Damon Wayans, Dave Chappelle, and George Carlin. Yeah, that's my Mount Rushmore, with honorable mentions for Chris Rock and Bill Cosby.
I just picked up a Bill Cosby album on vinyl. I'm gonna check him out. I've never like actually sat down and listened to his comedy.
Well, I gotta give props to Bill Cosby, because for two reasons. He's the father of a lot of cat style. You know, he fathered Richard Pryor style, and he fathered whoever Richard Pryor fathered. You know what I'm saying? So anybody that was looking up to Richard Pryor got to tip their hat to Bill Cosby. And then the other reason is I actually had a telephone conversation. This fool, well, I mean it endearingly. This fool called me. He called me on the telephone in 2011. So before anything was before he had experienced any kind of turmoil with his reputation or behavior, he had reached out and called me because he had my contact. I got his contact, and we have a mutual contact, and he reached out to me, and I talked about this phone conversation actually on Pop Grits, which was my third comedy album. It's called A Conversation with Bill Cosby. I talk about that conversation in detail, but the fact that he took time out and shot the shit with me as a older comedian, you know what I'm saying, like a brother, just giving me some game. And I talk about it in that conversation. I do end it with a little joke, but because this was recorded in 2016 when shit started to unravel. But you know, I appreciate that though, because he was in the position at that time. He didn't have to do that. It was crazy how, you know, how those circumstances came together. And so yeah, definitely got to give props to. And then Chris Rock, bruh. Chris Rock, man, he had it was something, bro. The way he came on in his second special, the Bigger and Blacker. No, wait, what was that? No, what was the one with the Bigger and Blacker was the first one. I need to get on my Googles. But all my Mount Rushmore is them four though. Dick Gregory I met before I even did comedy, and he gave me some wisdom. And then he was the first person I ever heard talk about the lizard people. And rest in peace, Dick Gregory. He told me about the lizard people in 03, 04, some shit like that. So I was like, that was funny. But he was in a space where he was holding court with like prominent black leaders in like the Congressional Black Caucus, and he's a comedian, but everybody shut the fuck up when he was talking. You know, he's not a congressman, he's not a senator, he wasn't a big time lawyer, he wasn't none of these people that you would expect, you know, and they didn't treat him like a fool. You know what I'm saying? And he was talking conspiracy theories in front of these people, and they was listening. Nobody interrupted. Nobody was arguing. Nobody was like, "Oh, he talking that crazy shit." So I was very impressed by the ability to be heard in them spaces by that brother. Before I even started comedy, before that accident happened, I had experience observing Dick Gregory holding court among you know, sort of like a who's who of black leaders, with dignity and respect. Damon Wayans, we used to read this book that he put out called Bootleg. And I had watched Damon Wayans specials, but reading it in print, we would laugh the same like we was watching him on TV. Me and my little brother, we would just read this book and we could hear the voice that he would use. You know, we can hear this shit. And it was published. It's in print. There's no images. There's no pictures. We just reading what he's saying, and that shit was just amazing to me that was possible. That you could print something and then read it, and it still be hilarious. George Carlin was amazing because he got to take on society in a way that was hilarious. His thing was to point out the hypocrisies and idiocy of the society that we lived in and have it cheered on. And so there might be a space to say that he might have been privileged for that, because I'm sure it'd been a bunch of any other brother who would be talking like that. It wouldn't be comedy. It'd be a political meeting. You know what I'm saying? But just the fact that he was saying what was real and true, and the comedic value wasn't in the setup punchline. It was in the, are you stupid? Like, are you fucking for real? Like, doesn't this not look stupid? You know? And so that was deeply expansive to me. And all of these things happened before I took part in comedy myself. And then Dave Chappelle, this brother, we would sit around and listen to his shit like it was a mixtape. Like we was downloading his shit on Napster and listening to this shit when moms went to bed. She would be in bed, and we wasn't watching it on the TV because we didn't have TV privileges like that, because TV got to be turned off at a certain time. But this audio, we gonna get this audio. We gonna get this audio. And yeah, man. And I think his journey too is impressive, man. You know, he was held up, and then he was cast aside, but he went back on his grind. You know what I'm saying? He doubled down 10 toes. He never left comedy. You know, even when I started comedy, that was like when in 05, that was like the big story, was that Dave Chappelle left. But he was still, I'm from the Bay, so he was still popping up places in the Bay. And so he was just square one. And so I just got tremendous respect for that. And he came back around a little bit more buff, a little bit more swole, which is like, I think that, just seeing that, it just lets you know that just like don't try it. Don't try it this time. All right, man. You got that from Skinny. You got that from the Skinny Dave, but man, come on, man. You're not gonna get it from Bokeem Chappelle over here. Nah, partner. And so I just respect shit like that.
Anya, what's some words of encouragement or motivation you can give to any comedian that's listening to this right now?
Words of encouragement, man. Don't be afraid to go back to your square one. I guess it's always cycles. Unlock your own, ignite your own grind. You know, don't. It's never over until you say it's over. This whole comedy shit, it's the whole game is a what's the word, man? It's a don't quit game. As long as you don't quit, you win. You know, as long as you do it till you die, you die doing it. You know, I think there was I guess this might not even be the well, I'm gonna scrap that example, but it's always, as long as you don't quit, just, if you look forward at yourself looking back. And I guess I need to hear this shit too, because sometimes even if I hit a new pinnacle or set a new milestone for myself, I still struggle or experience discouragement. We living in an age of heavy discouragement, and sometimes the discouragement is a sign that you're actually on the correct path. It's like when I first decided to switch over from rapping to stand-up comedy, one of the brothers I was rapping with, the first thing out of his mouth is that's stupid. And I was like, bruh, that's not encouragement. You not in. But that let me know that was like, nigga, you said that shit. That shit sounded so smooth how you said it. I know that I'm supposed to do this. You know what I'm saying? It's like everybody else was too encouraging. Like I needed a nigga hating on me real quick. You know what I'm saying? I needed that. That's what I needed to hear to let me know that I was doing something proper. You feel me? And so sometimes we need to hear ourselves saying some discouraging shit so we can get back on ourselves and say, oh, that's that bullshit. You talking like your uncle or somebody else,
Anya, tell people why they should listen to Comedians in Bed.
What? I'm sorry. You mean this program right here, or you talking about Comedians in Bed with Ty Erskine?
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's a stellar podcast, and the brother be asking some solid questions most of the time. Because he gonna ask the questions that make the guests, examine things that they hadn't even thought about. He didn't give me no pre-interview questions. I didn't know where this was going, and so certainly it might have got long-winded in here with me a couple times because I had to really think. I had to be like, damn, Anyi, I didn't check in when, I didn't even search my site. Man, I didn't even consider that. So yeah, you should definitely listen to comments. You should definitely listen to the podcast, Comedians in Bed, with Ty Erskine. Don't listen to Comedians in Bed. You might fall asleep sometimes. Don't listen to comics while you while you chilling in the mattress. Okay, listen to Comedians in Bed with Ty Erskine, the podcast. Yes, 100% all day. Don't be trying to listen to these comics in bed. You'll catch a nap. Your ass will be up there, Martin Luther King dreaming.
Hey man, I just felt like I talked to like my uncle from the Bay like this whole time. Like I've never talked to somebody from the Bay. I've enjoyed the whole conversation. Anya, tell people where they can reach you at, man. Where can they find your stuff and some of your albums and all that good jazz?
All my albums are on anything that you stream. If you pay for a streaming subscription, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, any of those, put my name in there. Just go to my website though, AnyiMalik.com. That's the hub. Any besides the aforementioned places where you can hear my monetized produced works of art, the AnyiMalik.com is the hub. No specific social media or any other platform really deserve too much zooming in on. But if you own that, you can find it on AnyiMalik.com.
All right. And if you want to tune in to next week's episode, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel at Ty Erskine. If not, you want to listen to this audio version, you can subscribe to wherever you listen to podcasts. We have my man Anyi Malik on here. Be sure to stream Grand Blessings, now streaming wherever you listen. Listen to podcasts, wherever you want to catch a good old comedy special. He's funny. Check him out. Comedians in Bed, man. We appreciate you guys. Anyi, we appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming on the show.
I appreciate you. Blessings.